Hear me now. Okay, let's try something. Check my audio. Audio. Hello, hello. So, all right. So I changed some settings on the audio. We are live, so let me know if you can hear me on the chat, so I can continue with the live stream. Doug, my friend Doug. Okay, nice. All right. Okay, so I guess I'll start again. So, hello, welcome again to another live show here on the Lazy Arquitecto channel, where we are all about finding ways to save time in AutoCAD, right? So that's our goal. That's why we show up here each Sunday at 10 a.m. and that is Pennsylvania, United States time. So if your time is important, this is the live show for you, right? So my name is Irving. For people who don't know me, we have already people connected on the chat. That's awesome. I'm gonna start reading some of your comments very soon, and we're gonna automate your AutoCAD. This show is basically a way for me to pick a comment, a question from one of you guys, either on an email or on any of our YouTube videos or Facebook videos. So I pick a comment, and then I create this live stream to help you achieve your goal, right? Which is working more efficient or save time in AutoCAD. So before we start reading some of your comments, I have a couple of important things to mention. So the first one is I want to say welcome to our new Patreon, Victor Castillo. Thank you, Victor, and thank you to all of you folks who are here on my screen for helping support the show, right? Either on Patreon or as a YouTube member. Thank you. So the next thing, the second thing I want to mention is that we had our first CAD meeting via Zoom, and that was yesterday, Saturday. Thank you to folks that assisted to our CAD meeting. That was very fun. And for people who missed it, we're gonna have our next Zoom meeting or CAD meeting the next month. So stay tuned for that. So I think we're gonna start reading some of your comments now. And my friend Doug is on the chat. Says, "Good morning, Irving, all the way from New Jersey." Good morning, Duke. I'm glad you are here today. We met also yesterday at our CAD meeting on Zoom. That was very fun. I got to meet you, so thank you for sharing all of your experience. So that's awesome, Duke. We have Mary on the chat also. Mary says, "Hello, Irving from Cyprus." Hello, Mary. Glad to see you back here on our live shows. For people who don't know, I'm in Pennsylvania right now in the United States. So it would be nice to know where are you connecting from. Our friend Kumar also says, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, Kumar. I'm glad you're here. You are one of the very first followers of the live shows, so that's very nice that you keep up with us till today." We have a new follower, I would say. It's Mani. First time I see you around, but that's awesome that either YouTube or Facebook are recommending our live shows to more people, right? That's awesome. Or maybe some of you guys are sharing also our live shows, so that's I want to say thank you for that too. So how to type fastly in keyboard? Great question, and my best advice would be to try to get used to working with your hands. One would be on the keyboard, right? and the other one would be on your mouse, and that would be all the time, like 99% of the time, right? If you do that, if you force yourself to do that, you'll be much faster when you type your keyboards, right? Your keys in AutoCAD. So yeah, try to do that, and hopefully that will help you, my friend Mani. And then we have Douglas Michael says, is it me or is there no sound? There was no sound before. Luckily we fixed it quickly, so that's one of the disadvantages of doing things live, right? You're gonna encounter all of these issues, technical issues, but hopefully we can figure things out quickly. Also, we have our friend Molach. Molach, I think you're new to the show. I didn't see you before, so that's awesome. Again, the new people are joining us. Says can hear, man. Okay, thank you. That was before, I guess. There you go. Says our friend Michael or Doug. Says you're good. Also, thank you for people who let me know about the audio problem. And here says Mary, good morning, our friend Wellington Jeff. Thank you for being here with us again, Jeff. That's awesome that you keep up with the live shows. Thank you for that. We have another new person on the live show is Jarvis. Jarvis said how to add a 2-block property table. A 2-block property table. I think you're talking about tables in AutoCAD, my friend Harvey. So you can simply type table, right, to insert any table in AutoCAD. So I believe I didn't do any table videos here on the channel, so that would be a nice topic for a future live show too. So something like all you need to know about tables in AutoCAD or something like that, right? So thank you, Harvey, for your suggestion. That's awesome. Stay tuned for that live show, right? We have also our friend Molak saying, hi, Irving. Hi, Molak. Welcome to the show. If you are new to the show, of course, we're not going to start very soon. Just want to finish reading some of your comments and have that interaction right before we start today. And also during the presentation, you can interrupt me at any time, right? If you have questions, so I can read your comment live. Our friend Molak says, thanks very much for fixing the sound so quickly. Yeah, I mean, we're live. Again, that's one of the disadvantages, the technical problems, but that's what we like to do live instead of regular tutorials, because again, I can chat with you and talk live, which is a very nice way to teach, I would say, right? Okay, so we're ready to start, and we're gonna do it right now. Okay. So the lazy question for today's show comes from our friend Douglas. Douglas says, I would like to do a framing in AutoCAD, but as you can see by the attached AC, can't fill the floor joist solid without using a solid hatch pattern, which makes the drawing huge. He's talking about this diagram over here, right? Is there a way to draw a rectangle or any closed shape and have AC fill it solid so it can be placed in the order is viewed, not see-through? Thanks, and that was our friend Duke. So as you can see on the diagram over here, let's quickly inspect this. Basically what he's talking about is there a quicker or more efficient way to draw this framing and kind of hide the behind items, right? So he can achieve something like this. So let's see how we can help our friend Duke today, right? With this question. Again, if you have a question or something that you might be struggling with in AutoCAD or wasting a lot of time, you can put it on any of our videos, comments, or on my email, or any way you can contact me, and we will see if we can answer it live. So let's start then. Right. So let me see, what can we do this, right? How can we kind of automate this process, right? Instead of hatching each rectangle. So let's see. So to start, I created something really quick here to simulate the diagram of our friend, of course, Duke. And we have, of course, 3 framing over here and 2 that I draw on top of it. But again, I will need to hatch this in order, or trim it in order to not see through these 3 framing stats, right? So what we can do is, let's use the multiline command. And for that, we're gonna create a multiline style, right? So let's do that by opening the multiline style like so. That's the command that we can use to create a new style for a multiline, right? So as you can see, I have many different styles so far, but we need to create a brand new for our friend because he's specifically asking for a way to hide items behind this multiline. So let's create one starting with the standard that AutoCAD usually give us, right, to start with. And I'm going to create a new from this standard. Let's call it something like framing, maybe. Again, you can pick a name that you like, but keep things simple for the tutorial purposes. So I'm going to call this framing and then continue. So over here, again, the good thing of starting with something already, which was the standard multi-style, is that it kind of gives us already some information, so we don't have to do this from scratch, right? So what I like to do here is move my window dialog box over here so I can have a preview of what I'm doing, right? So I'm gonna move it right here. Okay, so 0.5 would be the top line over here and minus 0.5 would be the bottom line. So those numbers are fine right now because if we add this up, it will give us a 1 inch thickness framing, right? And again, we can customize the size as we wish later on, so I'll show you that too, but it's nice to keep it at 1 inch for now. So the next thing I like to do is, since our friend Duke, as I can see the diagram that he sent us, he likes to have the framing close over here at each end. So I can do that over here by clicking the caps so of the line. If I click start, you can see that it will close my multi-line over here. So that's what we want. And as well for the end, I'm gonna head or check this so that way I can have it close at both sides. All right, so that's all I really need for this. I can add a description here. Again, that's all up to you. We can add framing or whatever. So I'm gonna click OK to finish this up. And the final step is, of course, to make this current, right? So I'm gonna click simply set current and then hit OK. All right, so that was the first step, right? We simply created a multi-line style. But how can we hide the items behind the framing, right? That's what we need to add. That's an important step. So let's go back to the multi-line style. Multi-line style again. So what we need to do is, of course, modify our framing our framing multiline, and we need to find an option here that somehow add a pochette or a solid that can, of course, hide whatever is behind. So there is an option here called fill color. So let's try that out. And what we can do here is select a color. So to simulate again a mask, we can try, let's see, the true color, and we're gonna try the white true color, which is 255. So that would simulate a true white color. So of course we can do this by also going to the index color and pick white. Once we do that, we can go to true color and then simply click OK. All right, so we added a fill color over here. So let's see how well that works. Let's click OK and then click OK. So that was the first step, right? Very simple or very straightforward. We need to create a multi-line style. We added it a solid mask with a true white. And let's go with the step number 2, right? There are 2 steps over here, and the third step would be, of course, test this tool, right, or command that we're going to create. So the second step is for that we're going to use our tool palette. So of course we can draw the multi-line by simply typing the shortcut ML, right? The multi-line, and let's test it. So let's test it. Let's click like so, and then click like so. So nothing fancy so far. We simply created a multi-line style over here. But what we need to do now is how our friend Duke can use this multi-line on any drawing, right? Because let me show you. If I create a new drawing really quick from the Autocad icon and say new drawing, and of course I pick a template, in this case Imperial Architecture, because I'm in the United States and Imperial is my unit. So over here, of course, if I type my multi-line command, right, I wouldn't be able to have my framing multi-line because this is a new drawing. My multi-line style doesn't exist on this drawing. So let's check that out. Let's confirm it by using the multi-line style. And as you can see, we don't have the framing. So that's a problem, right? So let's see how can we fix that. But before, we have a comment on the chat, and it's our friend Dropout Engineer. Hey, Dropout Engineer, thank you for being here with us again. So you are a fan of the show because I see you every Sunday, so that's awesome. I'm very happy for that, and let's keep moving. So all right, so then the second step that we need is, let me erase this multi-line, of course, because we don't need it, was to create a new drawing, right? And simply copy our new multi-line framing style, right? So I'm gonna copy that with Control C, go to the drawing one and paste it with Control V. I like to place it at the 0,0 origin point. All right, so we need to save this drawing and store it. So I'm gonna quickly save it with Control S. I'm gonna store it in a location where I can remember, right? So for that, I'm gonna go to Arquitecto, videos, live, and then the lazy question over here. So I can, of course, how you name it is very important. So let's name it something like framing. So again, let's try to remember that name because we're gonna need it for when we create our command, right? Framing multiline, just remember that. And let's click save. Right, now we can close this, we don't need it anymore. But what we're gonna need is the location, right? So make sure, let's find the location, the folder where we save this before we forget, right? So I save it over here, and here it is, framing multiline. So we're gonna come back to here in a moment, but let's keep moving. All right, so all we did again was to save our multiline style to a brand new drawing, right? So let's create the command now. So in order to do so, we could use the macros palette, the new command macros, right, that AutoCAD just introduced, I believe, last year. So, but there would be a problem, right? Let's say my friend Duke used an older AutoCAD version, 2018, 19, or whatever. He wouldn't be able to follow along. And I guess many of you too also might be using an older AutoCAD version. So let's not use this for now, and let's use our tool palette. So I'm gonna open it with Control-3, and everybody have the tool palette, right? So you don't have excuse to save time in AutoCAD. So simply to create this tool, I'm gonna draw a rectangle really quick. You can drag a rectangle, a polyline, a text, anything to your tool palette, but I'm gonna draw a rectangle like so. And over here we can right click and change some of the properties. So let's call this new command or tool something like framing, right? That would be enough. So let's now we need to somehow change the macro code for this command, right? So as you can see, the command string, it's locked right now. It's not a problem. Let's change the use flyout to no, and that way we can change this command macro string. So what we can do is remove this because we don't need it, but we need a CC because that's a way to let AutoCAD that we are canceling or stopping any command that is currently being used, right? So we want to do that to avoid conflicts. So let's keep the CC over there. And what we can do is start adding some basic commands, right, in this command string, so that way we can quickly add our multiline style, right? So the way I'm gonna do it is using the insert command, right, in AutoCAD. So following by a semicolon that will represent an enter. This is a way to, let's say you are on a command line here in AutoCAD and you will type insert, right? And then what happened when you say insert? Well, we can specify a path that we whatever we want to insert, and the path would be where our multi-line style is. So let's simply click here on the top so we can copy that path, right, where our new multi-line framing is located. And let's go here and let's insert that by simply pasting it, right? So let's do that. Let's expand so you can see better. So that's our path. And one important step here that we have to do is we need to change the forward slash for the back one. So I'm going to start doing that, erasing. And this is because AutoCAD won't recognize this path if you don't do this. So that's also, I'm changing the forward slash for the other one, the one that goes back. Okay. So far that's our path. And then what we need to do is, after this, of course, we need the name of our drawing where we stored our a new multiline style, right? So let's go back to our Windows folder, and that's the name. I'm gonna simply press F2 to copy that. And the important part here is to copy it with the DWG file extension. So I'm gonna simply copy that out and go back to the command and simply add a slash and then paste the name of our multiline where our multiline is stored, right? So far here we need to accept all of these with an enter, right? So a semicolon. And then what we need to do is, of course, we can set a layer, right, for this framing. So that way we can facilitate our friend Duke live, right? I don't want him to be able to place their objects on layers and so on. So let's try to help with that. So what we can do here is, let me expand this over here. And so I'm gonna copy one of these C's over here, simply, right clicking on it and saying copy. And let's go out over here and I'm gonna paste it by the end of this code, like so, paste. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to insert this multiline style like physically. I only want to insert it on the back, right? That's why I'm canceling the insertion of this multiline style. So it doesn't show up physically on my drawing, but it will still be live on the back of this drawing. So I can use it at any time, right? So that's simply what we'll do. And then I'm gonna, of course, add my layer. So for my layer, I'm gonna simply use the LA shortcut and of course press enter. That would be a way to type layer at the command line. And after we type a layer over here on the command line, AutoCAD usually asks us, what would you want to do? So I want to create or make a layer. So that would be M for make, and of course an enter, right? So I want to make a layer, and the name of my layer would be whatever our friend Doug wants or whatever you want it to be. In my case, I'm gonna simply say framing layer, right? Whatever. This is just for an example purpose, right? So framing layer, and of course you need to accept that with another semicolon or enter. So now he might also want to pick a color, right, for his framing. So it's not only enough to pick a layer, but we might need a color. So for the color option, let's type C and enter again. So that way we can let AutoCAD, hey, we want a color, right? And what color? Who knows? That's all up to you. But for this example, I'm gonna say red and press enter. So red, again, that's a simple color, but we need to accept all of these settings. Color, we need to accept layer, and so on. So we need a couple more of enters in this case. I'm gonna press 1 and 2 times enter. So that will give us the option to set a layer, set a color, and insert our multiline styles. So the final piece of code that we need is, of course, activate our multiline. So I'm gonna do that by simply adding this underscore that tells AutoCAD, hey, we're gonna activate a command. So that's a way to let AutoCAD know that. So the command would be multiline, and of course following by an enter, right? So we have before we continue, we have a comment on the chat, and it's our friend Keep Point. Great tutorial. Hey, keep Point. I didn't see you for a long time, man. But it's nice to have you back. So let's keep moving. So we were on the multiline command. So what happened when we type that command over here on the command line, right? AutoCAD will ask us some questions. So some of the questions are, okay, so what style you want to use, right? So I want to let AutoCAD the style. I can type style or simply SD. The style that I want to use is, do you remember that style that we just created? So it was called framing, right? So framing, and I'm gonna press enter, of course. So if you're not sure about that, you can of course always go back to your drawing and simply open it. But from what I remember, we name it framing to this new multi-line style, right? So let's keep with that. So framing, and after that, AutoCAD from the command line, if we type multi-line, will ask us also so what name would be. So we already saying framing, right? And then what scale you want your multi-line to be. So the scale shortcut, of course, would be SC, or you could type scale too. So the scale for this specific example of our friend Duke, usually I'm guessing it would be 2 inches, right? We'll have framing 2x6, 2x4s, and so on. So I'm gonna say 2 for this example, for the scale, and press enter, of course. Again, Duke, you can pick your frame exact number, might be 1.5 inches, but I'm picking 2 inches right now for standard size. So let's see, after this, AutoCAD will also ask us for the justification of our multi-line. We want the multi-line to start from the left, from the side, from the middle. So that's all up to you. So for this specific example, I'm going to say J for justification and press enter. And then I'm going to say Z and enter for 0. That's all up to you. You can pick top, but I will pick 0 at this time. That's a personal preference. Nothing really will change. So at this point, let's test our command, right? Framing. We could also add an image over here by simply right-clicking on it and say specify image. You could also add a description over here. That's all up to you. Again, let's click OK for now. And let's see now. Let's test it, right? This is the moment of truth. So everybody probably stay till the end to see if this works. Let's do that. So let's first go to a brand new drawing to test it. So let's go here, new drawing, right? I'm gonna pick an Imperial architecture. Let's see. So right now, if we of course don't have the multi-line style, we can see that if we use it, right, we will have a regular multi-line standard. And let's try our command now, right? So framing, let's click on it, and boom, we have a problem right here. So that's one of the reasons why we need to test these things out, right? Because we might have errors like this where we can see that the error says we cannot find file in search path my DWG. So let's quickly investigate what happened there, right? So let's go over here on our tool or command. Let's change or click properties and let's see what's going on. So it's now recognizing our path for our folder. So let's try something really quick, which is sometimes AutoCAD cannot recognize paths, have problems recognizing them. So a good way to kind of fix this is place our entire path in this how do you call these comillas, but let's try that. So let's put our entire path on this I don't know the exact word in English, but comillas is how I know it anyway. So let's make sure you select the last part and let's try to add this character. So and let's test it again, right? We have a comment on the chat, and it's our friend Key Point says maybe wrong file directory. That's a good guess, my friend Key Point. But let's first try this first attempt by using this. I forgot the name. Who can tell me the name in English for this character? Comillas? I know. I don't know how they call it. But anyway, we're using this first attempt to add our and to put our entire path using this character. So let's click OK and let's try to test it one more time. Let's cross fingers, right? Because we are live. So let's click framing and let's click boom, boom. And here we go. It works beautifully. So yeah, so that was the problem was, again, sometimes Autocad have a hard time figuring out our path. But if we use these comillas, again, anyone on the chat can tell me the English right word for this character, because I just forgot. But if we put our whole path in this character, in these comillas, that's a easy way for Autocad to recognize our path. So now the final test is, again, you already saw that quotes. Here we go, Duke. Thank you for helping with that. You're saying quotes. That's the correct English word for that character. I just forgot right now. But anyway, so you can see now that on any drawing that we create, it can be an existing drawing, it can be a new drawing, we're always going to have our command framing ready for us to work, right? So that's a good way to always have this available. So let's quickly now finalize this by testing it on our friend diagram, on our friend Duke, right? Sometimes he wanted to again use a hatch or whatever to cover some of these things. So let's go and test it over here. So let's click on it, and if we go and start here and go all the way up, and then we will see that it will hide whatever is behind beautifully, right? So we can keep adding here and there wherever you need it. That's not a problem. And if we go here on the let's quickly do a preview, right? So let's move this viewport so that way we can be, oops, the layer 0 is probably frozen. That's not a problem. Let's open our layer palette really quick. So let's see over here. So some of our layers must be frozen, but let's go back and simply change this. Let's change to wall new really quick. Okay, so let's do the final test, which is do a preview, right? And awesome, my friend. Here you have it, Duke. Hopefully this will simplify your life in AutoCAD, and for you guys also who are watching our live shows. So here you have it. You can now do your framing quickly and easily without using hatch and so on. All right, Duke? And so what do you guys think about this way of working in AutoCAD more efficient, right? Our friend Duke says, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this for me. Duke, I did it because I thought was a great way to also save time to more people, right? Because they might have the same issue as you are having. So again, you were the lucky one this time, but for all of you guys who are here live, again, this show is about picking a comment for you and try to help you be more efficient in AutoCAD. So today was our friend Duke, but next time might be you. So just leave your comment or send me an email and I'll be able to maybe pick your question for another Leipzig question show in the future. Right? So let's read some of your comments before we wrap up today's live stream. So Let's see. Let's go on the chat. And our friend says, Key Point says, whoa, very excellent, Lazy Arquitecto. Key Point, thank you for your comment. I mean, I'm glad that you guys found this useful. That's like a motivation for me to keep showing up here, right? Because that means that I'm doing something good here, right? Maybe I'm saving you a little bit of time. That's good for me. I'm glad I can do that. So Miriam says a string. I think you maybe were referring to the problem that we were having, right, with the path, but luckily we fixed it live. So that's awesome, because sometimes when you do these things live, if you encounter a problem, usually you try to resolve it, you get nervous, you get confused, and it's the idea of being live, right? It's not easy. So luckily we could fix our command. Our friend Ahad says also double apostrophe. Oh, or you were trying to help me with the quotes, right? Our friend Duke says quotes, and you're saying double apostrophe. Yeah, I guess both are right, I would say, right? So again, for people who don't know me, maybe they are new to the show. So Spanish is my first language, right? But I do these live shows in English because I've been living here in the US for a long time already. So that's why I do this in English. But so yeah. So let's say Duke, our friend Duke, again says, oh my God, I've been trying to do this for years. Duke, again, those words kind of made me really happy and excited, right? Because that's a way for me to know that I'm doing something good here, right? Trying to help. So thank you, Duke, for those words. Duke says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Our friend Miriam says, thanks a lot, Irving. You're welcome, Mary. Our friend Kumar says, as always, awesome, sir. Yeah, very happy, Kumar. So we need to start thinking now our topic for next Sunday, right? So yeah, so before we wrap up today's live stream, let me know if you have more questions or suggestions, recommendations, right? We're about to wrap up today's live stream. And so if you want to even simplify your life, I shared any of these macro commands or codes to my Patreon page, so you can simply copy and paste. So if you are interested in that, again, you can do that also. So our friend Molag says, learn new thing. Thanks very much, mate. Yeah, Molag, hopefully we can see you here next Sunday too, right? And we will be more and more people growing in this community, right? On the lazy community. I don't know if I should call this the lazy community. Maybe you guys don't like that, but if you have other ideas, you're more than welcome to. All right, so I guess we have to wrap up this. I had to go and take breakfast because I'm very hungry. So thank you to all of you for being here with me today, right? And hopefully you have a great rest of the day. All right, so I'm gonna go and have breakfast now because I'm very hungry. Do lazy followers. So there's not a lazy community, then there's lazy followers. That's a good idea. Right, see you guys.